One of the things I find interesting about Gold Creek is just how quickly you can think you understand the market here. A house sells in a day, then another sells in 2 days, and you think, okay, homes are moving. I think it's time to sell my house. But then another home around the block takes 74 days, and another takes 94 days. And suddenly the story just isn't quite that simple. That is exactly what happened with the homes that recently sold here this past month up until today's date. And when I went through each single sale, a few things really caught my attention. The bigger picture. Before we get into those particular sales, let's look at what is happening around Gold Creek. Because this is such a small community, we don't have enough sales in any particular given month for one average to tell us very much. So what I also like to do is I like to watch how homes are performing in 98296 for context. In July, the median sales price in 98296 was $1,095,000, with homes taking about 15 days to get under contract. And the MLS was reporting that those homes are getting 100% of their original asking price. 42 new listings came on, while only 24 of those went under contract. So buyers definitely have more homes to choose from in the broader market right now, and that matters. It matters when we look at what is happening right here inside Gold Creek. What happened? Since July 1st, 6 homes have sold here, and their individual stories are much more useful than any sort of average. One came on at $980,000. 7 days later, it went under contract and it sold for $1,005,000. Another came on at $1 million, went pending or under contract in just a day and sold at full price. Another home was listed at $1,249,000 and it went under contract in 2 days, also received full price. Those are some really, really strong results right here. But then there's the other side. So one home started at $1.3 million. It spent that 74 days on the market, reduced for just about $50,000 under their asking, and it sold for $1,225,000. Another started at $1,425,000, and after 94 days and a price reduction, it ended up selling for $1,340,000. And another one started at $1 million, almost 1.6. It spent 71 days on the market, and that sold for $1,550,000. Same community, but a very different selling experience for these homeowners. And I really think that's important for all of Gold Creek homeowners to see, because there's not one single number that could tell the whole story here. As I was looking through all of those listings, something else stood out. Almost all of the homes that sold, guess what they had? They had a pre-inspection. So I don't think that means every homeowner should automatically get one. There are definitely advantages and trade-offs, and that is something I walk through with my clients before deciding whether it makes sense for their home and their situation, and also what the market's like. But when something shows up this consistently in such a small group of sales, I really do like to pay attention to that, especially because now what I'm seeing, most of the Gold Creek homes right now that are currently for sale, they don't appear to have a pre-inspection. Does that mean that a pre-inspection will determine which homes sell? Absolutely not. There are just too many other factors involved, but it's something I am going to keep watching, because next month we will know a little bit more after some of those homes have sold. Price adjustments versus seller concessions. There was another difference between Gold Creek and the larger 98296 market. Throughout the sales in Gold Creek, I didn't see any seller concessions on any of the ones that closed within the 6 sales that we just saw, which is really interesting because seller concessions were definitely showing up in some of the 98296 sales I reviewed. I did see Gold Creek sellers make price adjustments, so there was still some negotiation there. It just showed up in a different way. Again, with only 6 sales, I'm not going to call that a trend. It just is something worth paying attention to as we see what happens with the upcoming sales. what it means for your home. This is where all of it comes back to your home. You could live 2 streets away from any one of these sales and still have a completely different experience. Your floor plan is different, or somewhat. Your updates are different. Your lot size is different. All of those might be different. And your price point could also put you in a different type of a shopping bracket for buyers, or in a different competition for particular buyers, especially when buyers have more choices in the broader market. So no matter what market we are experiencing, we still need a buyer to walk through your front door and think, yes, this is definitely the house for me. Then they also have to decide whether they see enough value to make an offer. We can study the comparable sales, look at all of the competition, see what's under contract, and also look closely at what already has sold. This is how we really make an informed decision about pricing and positioning. But a buyer still has to choose the house and move forward with an offer. Eastview Village update. There's also something happening near Gold Creek that I know is a very hot topic, and a lot of people around here have been watching and wondering what is going on. If you don't know what it is, it's a large development planned off of Cathcart Way near Glacier Peak High School. The overall plan is roughly 1,300 homes with commercial space, apartments in there, and multiple phases. Rather than guessing about where things stand, I actually reached out directly to the Snohomish County Planning and Development Services, and I just asked if there was anything significant that has changed within the project. What I was told is that the applicants are currently working through their land disturbing activity permits, and there have been some minor edits to the transportation and drainage systems, but according to the county, there hasn't been any other real significant changes with the location or the types of housing that's been proposed. I do think that there's something to remember, that when we hear that roughly 1,300 homes are coming in the area, yes, that is obviously a very large development, but 1,300 homes aren't going to suddenly start getting built all at the same time. This is a multi-phase project that will develop over time. So I'm interested in what happens along the way, like what happens with the traffic, what kind of commercial development is going to eventually come in, what will the additional housing mean for the immediate area, schools, traffic, all of that. And over time, is this going to affect the existing home values of Gold Creek? We don't know the answers to all of those yet, but paying attention to what is happening around Gold Creek is really important for all of us. It's good to stay ahead of the changes so we are prepared and we know what is going on in our community. So when I look at Gold Creek right now, I'm not looking for just one statistic to tell me how the market is doing. I am looking at what actually happened to the homes that sold just recently. I'm watching what's currently competing for buyers. I am comparing what we're seeing here within the larger 98296 market. And I'm also watching what is changing around us with projects like the Eastview Village, because that is how you get a clear picture of what is really happening, not just in your county, not across Snohomish, but right here at your front door.